I'm Vince Deshotel. I'm county agent in St. Landry Parish and also a regional livestock agent in central Louisiana, working out at the Dean Lee Research Station. We certainly want to welcome you to our virtual field day today. What I'm going to talk about is planting ryegrass and the utilization of ryegrass in Louisiana. Geographically, our climates can be much different from our coastal regions up to the northern reaches of Louisiana, where most of our northern reaches utilize ryegrass as a supplement to most of their fall and winter calving cows, whereas in South Louisiana, as you get near I-10 and below, most of those producers use ryegrass as a grazing system. So with that being said, some part of central Louisiana, most of our producers use it as a rotational or supplemental grazing system, where ryegrass is planted and utilized as a supplement. Cows that graze ryegrass, typically in a 2 to 3 hour period in a day, they'll reach their nutritional requirements of grazing. So when you see cows that have been grazing ryegrass and they begin to lay down as they fill up for the day, they've had enough. So should we let them get to that point of grazing enough till they fill up, or reaching a point to the point of their daily nutritional requirements are met? You probably in a 1 to 2 hour period, they've probably met their daily nutritional requirements. So it's in a sense, it's a rotational grazing system. So it's something that's labor intense, and you've got to monitor that and know about the time frame that your cows will fill up. For them to become acclimated and for you to figure out that time frame, it will take some time to do so. So with that, after the first week or 10 days, you should be able to monitor and know about how long it's going to take for those cows to fill up. So why do we use ryegrass as a supplement rather than a grazing system in some cases? Your fall and winter calving cows, colostrum is probably the most key important thing, both prenatal and after parturition, that those cows are meeting the nutritional requirements of those newborn calves. So the first 60 days is real critical. I mean, that's going to be your peak of your milk production. So we want to ensure that those calves are reaching that nutritional requirement and reaching their genetic potential with the ryegrass and the supplement and our grazing system, if you choose to do so, that they're reaching their average daily gain as per your marketing strategy. So with that being said, ryegrass is an expensive venture. Not everyone treats it the same way, but if you're going to be planting ryegrass, with the expense and the cost of doing business these days, you should treat it like a crop. So when you're treating ryegrass like a crop, you should start by first with a soil test to know what your soil's nutrients are and how you're going to amend the soils if you're going to be treating it like a crop. So with that being said, a lot of our soils require some amendments of phosphorus and potassium, and even some ammonium sulfate when top dressing or adding into the phosphorus and potassium as a pre-plant, which helps it to get a quicker jump if you're going to do a prepared seed bed, which I would recommend. If you got fall calving and winter calving cows, you're going to get an accelerated amount of growth out of that new planting versus waiting on a overseeded or sod seeded or even a drill seeded situation. Preparing a seed bed is going to reassure that you get some growth, and generally, if weather conditions and soil conditions are in order, you should get some emergence within a 5 to 7 day period, and within a 10 to 15 day period, you should know whether you have a stand or not to apply that nitrogen. With fertilizer costs where we're at today in 2022, they were higher earlier in the spring. We're seeing some prices come down at this point in time. In terms of ryegrass seed prices, I'm told by some of the distributors that ryegrass seed prices are going to be comparable to last year, and there should not be a strain on having the amount of seed that we need to fill the needs. So, but you should let your distributors know what your planting intentions are, so you can go ahead and secure that seed at this point in time. Here we are, late July, moving into August. It's time to have an idea what you're going to do. Now, as far as your planting intentions and ground that you're going to plan on with the high cost of doing business, you should identify the pastures that you minimize the areas that you're going to plant eliminating any areas that potentially flood. Yes, we've been in a dry period. We could sure stand to take 3 to 5 inches of rain. It wouldn't hurt anybody's feelings from north to south at this point in time in the year. But generally, our winter times can be very wet. So I would concentrate on planting your higher pastures where you got good drainage, so that you can reassure that you'll get some runoff, that the water will get off of it after a heavy rain event. So with that being said, concentrate on those higher pastures that your drainage is assured of and that you can maximize your production. When we do soil testing, concentrate on those areas and apply the necessary nutrients. Treat it like a crop. Start with a soil test. Add some phosphorus and potassium based on the soil test, and treat it with nitrogen. We, as county agents and regional livestock specialists, we can help you make those decisions on making that nitrogen application. We definitely would recommend spoon feeding it. If you can, your distributor will work with you on small quantities of nitrogen fertilizer and applying it. Spoon feeding nitrogen, whether you use liquid or the granular form, is definitely going to be more beneficial, to minimize that denitrification or loss of nitrogen through environmental conditions. So in closing, ryegrass is not for everyone. So if you're not going to treat it like a crop, you should probably consider some alternative means of supplementing your cattle. We've gone through a pretty the last few years of some hard winters in some cases, where a lot of cattle are coming off the winters thin. But ryegrass is definitely an option for keeping cattle healthy. Everything surrounds both positive and negative, or results of your cattle operation, and the weaning of calves is all circulated around nutrition and health. So ryegrass can definitely supplement cattle to keep them healthy, and moving into, from winter into spring transition, to make sure that those calves are healthy moving forward to meet your marketing goals. So in closing, I would suggest that, again, I'd reiterate, if you're going to plant ryegrass, treat it like a crop, and if you don't intend to put any fertilizer or do those things that we've suggested, I would recommend the other supplements, whether it be tubs, salt and meal, or some other alternative that you might be able to get from some of your local feed distributors, to hand feed. But all of it will be labor intense to some degree. Even ryegrass, getting them acclimated to a supplement grazing system or a rotational grazing system on and off daily, it does take some extra labor. So with that, good luck in your winter plantings, and for your future plantings, and making your cattle healthy as we move into the winter period. We also would like to recommend, LSU has come out recently with their winter forages and ryegrass varieties that have been tested at various locations across Louisiana. We're going to supply the link for that, and on this video you'll see at the closing some of the recommended varieties. And we definitely would recommend, if your distributors have a tetraploid variety, there are a number of them out there, to stick with one of those. They're generally a little bit more cold tolerant, and you get a little more forage production out of your tetraploid varieties. So see the link provided in this video, that we can hopefully help you make some decisions on variety selection.